Well, all right, guys, welcome. Happy Super Bowl Sunday, I guess. I guess there's really no better time to upload the good old Pocket Change Market Report than, right before the big game. Give you some time to, hunt through some coins before it all goes down. We'll see what happens. Should be an exciting game, but not to, get too far away from the topic at hand. We got the Pocket Change Market Report for February 11th, 2024. I want to thank you guys for coming on by again. We're going to dive right into the last day or two of eBay sales of some of the coolest errors and varieties that you could find out there in the wild today. Now, whether that's going through regular good old Pocket Change, which a lot of these do come out of there, but also cherry picking some pretty neat stuff from your local coin shop or show is, again, another way that you could enhance your collection or find good stuff to resell, because that's how we do it when we're out there hunting and grinding and, just really putting our work into it. You could really make a good fair amount of money doing this as a side hustle. I've talked about it before, it's something that a lot of people are doing, and with the right amount of education, the report hopefully is a small part of that. You can find some sort of success. It doesn't matter where you're at in the country. There's going to be a lot of support here for a lot of the coins that are being popped out today. And again, the U.S. Mint and all of its employees are not absolved from making mistakes. They still do. We're still people. And because of that, we're going to see those mistakes translate into the coinage that comes out of those facilities. So that's the good news. We don't talk about graded coins like normal. Keep that money in your pocket. These things sell for themselves. And second of all, also keep in mind that the photos that you're going to see here today are all original to the respective listings. We didn't juice or doctor any of these photos to make them look better for the sake of the video. You're going to get the best and the worst. And it'll give you some insight on where that kind of low bar is being set. And I'm happy to say that, if you could wipe the lens off of your smartphone, you can take pretty good pictures of your coins with that. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive right in. Let's see how quickly we can get through this report here. And we're going to start things off here. I haven't really integrated any brand new 2024 coinage into the mix for the PCMR. This is our first one. Now that we're beginning to see regular coins popping out, we are through 2 weeks of the month of February. By this time, we would have seen Lincoln cents, the first quarter, probably nickels and dimes as well. All right, so pretty much the whole run is what we're experiencing out there today. So Lincoln cents obviously are the bigger chases. If you're able to find Philadelphia minted examples, which are still few and far between out there, I'm more than surprised by that. Those are going to be your best bets. That you're going to find have a bigger shot at finding varieties and errors on Philadelphia minted coins, which are not going to have a sort of mint mark. This seller had a number of Denver minted rolls, okay? And he had one or two of them available for a regular standard auction. Probably started at 99 cents. This one single roll auction here sold for $15.50 with 20 bids. They did offer free shipping, so probably figure in a couple, $2 or $3 there. For that, the seller probably would have still netted out about $9 or $10 profit here. So there's money to be made. It's not going to last because there is a little bit of an expiration date when it comes to these rolls. And yeah, I mean, this is a great way to make some money. In all fairness, I will say that this person also sold another roll within minutes of this one for $8.50 with a number of bids. So they're kind of up and down. They're kind of all over the place still. On average, we're looking at about $11, $12 per roll, which seems insane considering it's only 50 cents of coins. But, there you go. Something to look forward to. All right, next one that we have here, pretty neat. Picture's a little bit dark, all right, so always, kind of balance out your whiteness and your lights when you're taking pictures without completely flooding the coin. 1985D Roosevelt dime looks like it's a little bit broad struck. Also, I would say probably struck through, especially on the reverse. You can see the strike through very clearly on certain here. So the seller said broad struck. I'm kind of on the fence of whether it's a broad strike or just a really, really crazy strike through on both sides of the coin. But nonetheless, this one ended up selling for $5.50 with 6 bids. All right, not a ton of money, but it's something, right? It's a $5 bill for a dime. Pretty good trade-off there. We also had this 1942 from the same seller as the previous coin with a delamination on the front. So a piece of the coin had flaked off and dropped off, all right, thereby creating this event that you see here on the coin. Laminations in general are kind of on the lower end of the totem pole for errors, so expect to find more laminations, more curved clips, things of that nature, die chips. Those are all kind of very prevalent across many different coins going all the way into the newer dates. So this one right here, $8.50, 10 total bids, good stuff. I would sell for $8 all day long. That's a pretty good rate of return there. And this is something that we don't normally see too often. Not so much the idea of a curved clip error, all right? But the fact that it's on the Franklin half dollar, yeah, we just don't see that often. We see them quite a bit on Lincoln cents, on nickels, on dimes, the occasional quarter. The much larger denomination coins, you see them more infrequently, but even more so, the older obsolete type coins like Franklin halves are virtually non-existent. But this week we have actually had 2 Franklin half dollars with some sort of curved clip on them. This is the first one here. This one, ladies and gentlemen, sold for $90. So that kind of gives you a general idea of how rare these can be. Again, this is kind of like a minor mint error. If we had to look at the whole spectrum of various mint errors that you could come across, this is one of the ones that are quite minor, but still $90 for this thing. That's pretty insane. Next one that we have here is a 1944S Mercury dime, which shows a lamination error on the obverse there. That's still very much retained. It hadn't quite flaked off and dropped off completely. Probably won't, just the way it looks on there. This one sold for $10.50 with 13 bids. Again, that's a very fair amount of money for this type of coin and error. The good old 2021 Philadelphia Lincoln Shield cents with the massive cud die break and interior die break makes its triumphant return this week in both versions. So this one has a pretty dramatic K3 to K7 break that you see there. Quite substantial type of mint error. These are a lot of fun. If you're able to find these, they are worth still a nice chunk of money. They're never going to be worth nothing. I will say that. These are going to have quite a bit of staying power for many years to come. And they're going to kind of live in the folklore of one of the big chase pieces during this time. So this one right here sold for $150 with 3 bids. Pretty good considering that the coin looks like it came out of circulation. It does have a little bit of wear on it. More pristine examples typically command about $200 to $300. This one, pretty nice shape, but also keep in mind that, conditions still matters here with these things. Here's a 1989 Lincoln Memorial cent. This one is struck off-center out of collar, so the collar had malfunction here in order to produce this kind of strike. It's off-center by about 20% thereabouts. It's a really nice, clean coin. It's an integral piece to a date set, and this particular coin ended up selling for a $10 bill. So we've seen quite a few 1989 Lincoln Memorial cents that are off-center. And, there are specific dates that are a little bit more key than others. We actually do have one coming up here that we don't see quite that often. The 89, we do see quite a bit. If you're looking for an off-center 1989, look no further. eBay's got a few of them. Here's a 1998 Lincoln Memorial set. We also have to keep in mind that as minor and as frequently as people find the wide AM reverse coins, which are actually coins that were struck using the proof dies by mistake, these things are not worthless. Okay, for as many of them people are finding, they still have a little bit of value, and you need to know about that. Now, take a look at the coin here on screen. And you're going to find that this one is actually in decent shape, but it's not the most perfect looking 1998 wide AM reverse that we'll see. This one right here, you can tell the wide AM has a pretty substantial gap between the A&M in America. On the reverse, you're going to note that the A in America is a lot more skinnier in size compared to a wide AM type, which has kind of like a little bit different type style to it. So this one right here, I'm happy to report, ended up selling for $13.30. That's with shipping, the whole 9 yards. Still, again, a little bit of money to be made here. Where these things really shine are in like really nice mid-state 67 level type grades. And they could be hundreds of dollars. And typically they're going to be in graded holders and things like that. Again, you don't have to grade these kind of condition level of coins. They are still going to be worth something to someone, as folks are looking to put together rather inexpensive collections of some of these later dated varieties. Next one that we have here, first piece of paper on the list, comes in the way of a 1957 silver certificate star note. Star notes are replacement notes for notes that are that didn't quite pass the mustard in the quality control department. Maybe they're cut off center. Maybe the ink, kind of ran or smeared on them. Various other things, that could contribute to a note being replaced with a star note. But how about a star note that is grossly miscut? All right, kind of like the ultimate, the tap of irony here with this one. I mean, look at the reverse. You can tell, it's a little bit tilted and miscut. So $75 was the sale price on these. Any sort of paper money error that's a star note and an error, people love paying a lot of money for them because, again, it just kind of bucks the trend of what these things symbolically stand for, at the BEP and to the collector base. This is probably one of the biggest broad strikes I've seen in quite some time. It's a 2001 Lincoln Memorial. Before you go say, oh, look, he's got a double profile. That's normal. Because when these coins are struck out of collar, the metal stretches. All right, so right where there's a hard line around the devices, that's also going to create a little bit of a split or a fracture in the plating. Okay, it's not going to take much for it to split and expand like you see here. So this one sold for $33.98. I'm willing to bet that this coin is probably bigger than a nickel, but smaller than a quarter. If that's easy to kind of like picture or comprehend, that's kind of like the sizing on this one. Now here's our other big die crack split. This is the earlier state, the precursor to the big retained cud die break that we saw earlier in the show. This one has the full readable date. They're all 2021s. But this one right here, this one's pretty cool. I mean, it's a very nice higher grade specimen, probably a mid-state 63, 64, full red. This thing is pretty well preserved. And I'm happy to say that this one, another good sale, $84.98 with a couple bids in there. And another one off the market. And you could cherry pick some of these, but a little bit of a forewarning. This is actually quite a common event on a lot older U.S. type coin. 1867 shield nickel here with a bunch, just a ton of die cracks, both on the obverse and the reverse. If you look at the date and all around the devices, even in God We Trust. If you look at the reverse, if you look at the word cents, you could see a pretty long die crack. I mean, this is pretty normal on these. They're not necessarily worth more because of it. But when you do have, like, say, large cuds, fully developed CUDs, those can be pretty valuable. But die cracks are kind of par for the course for this series, among a few others. So this coin sold for $35.45 with 17 bids. I think condition-wise, it probably sells for pretty close to that, but they probably got a little bit of a premium on the on those die cracks. So not a bad-looking coin, great for a typeset, and it's got personality. Here's also one that we don't talk a whole lot about here on the Pocket Change Market Report because we don't see too many good ones that have sold. This is a 1923 Standing Liberty Quarter, okay? Just so I'd let you know that this is a relatively common date for it being pretty early. If it had an S-mint, that would kind of change things a little bit. But this one, ladies and gentlemen, has the clashed E in the Lady Liberty's drapery. If you look right here, just to the left of her right kneecap, like if you were looking at her, it'd be the left kneecap, and you could see the backwards E right there, or it's not backwards, but it's the E. That's clash from E pluribus unum onto the obverse die, so this is kind of like a very mild clash die. Believe it or not, this is something that is in the Cherry Picker's Guide. So it's a very well-known variety type. This coin is actually in really nice shape. I would say it's probably like a VF25 level type of grade here. And this one sold for $52.99. Again, that's an incredibly respectable amount of money for, I guess, one of the more accommodated type of coins out there. For Standing Liberty quarters, that is. Here's our much tougher dated off-center Lincoln Memorial cent. This is actually a 1991, and believe it or not, this is one that we don't see come up too often. This is actually a very scarce date for off-centers. God forbid that you find one with a Denver mid-mark. That's just going to shoot this one into the stratosphere. So this one right here does have a big gnarly carbon spot on the reverse, so there are condition issues. But still, it ended up selling for $25.13 with 14 bids. And that kind of tells you everything you need to know about the 1991 date for off-center strikes. Like 1990s, you can find quite a few of those. And 92s pop up probably a little bit more than 91s, but 91s, there's just not nearly as many out there. Back to a little bit of currency. We have a 1969D $1 bill. Check out the shifted print factor here. I would say the overprint is okay, but that second print with George Washington and all the black intaglio print was misaligned on the sheet. So the sheet was either crooked or a little bit off center before that was done. And if we look at the back, it's perfectly centered. So obviously, it's not a miscut issue or anything. Someone will look at that and like, oh, it's miscut. But, when you dig down deeper, it's, a misaligned print. So this one right here sold for $56.79 with 12 bids. Not too bad. And we also have this one here. This bad boy is the 1982 large date. Kind of hard to tell if it's either a zinc or a copper bronze. Okay, it's going to be either one of the two. Me personally, it kind of looks like a copper plated zinc example, but this one has a nice size CUD die break over the word trust on the obverse there. All right, that is incredibly neat. This is one that I can honestly say I haven't really seen too many of these, if any. I would say since the beginning of doing the Pocket Change Market Report series, I've probably seen maybe one or two others of the same type. CUDs, they come in different forms and shapes, different areas on the coin. And, again, depending on what we're looking at here, it could be quite scarce, So this one here sold for $55.69 with 20 bids. Again, do I have to say it? Maybe just this once. CUDs are kings. The money that kind of revolves around this particular type of mid-air is wild and consistent. It is very consistent. All right, dust off some of that 90% silver. You might have, this one sitting in there. 1934 Washington quarter, and boy, man, this thing has seen a lot of lights of day out there in good old commerce land. This is actually an incredibly strong double to die. I believe this is the FS 101. And this tells you a lot. When a coin is in this worn of shape and you're still able to see the doubling on there, that tells you a lot. So when we look up close to In God We Trust, wow. I mean, that's all the proof you need. Look at the notching and the splits, especially on the T, R, the U, the S, the T, the word trust, and all the other letters combined. There's also a fair amount of doubling on the date as well on this one. All right, so please do keep an eye out on that. $39.95 sure does beat $5 or $6 melt value any day of the week. So if you found this, congratulations. Flip it, sell it, and enjoy a little bit of money that you do receive from that. Here's one that I had the opportunity to buy, and I totally forgot that this one was ending here today. 1946 Lincoln Wheat Cent. This is an S-Mint, but it's not just any S-Mint, folks. This one is the S over D over mint mark. See the little Denver mint mark underneath the S? This is a huge one. This has always been a bucket lister coin. I would say it's much more scarce than the 44D over S, both different types, the 511 and 512. This is one that has eluded me since the beginning of time. And it just so happens that this particular example right here sold for $74.55. Like, I could have had this for $75 when so many other examples typically sell for about 2.5 to 3 times that amount of money for the same grade. So, obviously, someone got a real steal here with this one. It's such a scarce Cherry Picker's Guide variety and Red Book variety. This is in the Red Book, too, guys. That, I'm probably going to have to wait another, 3 to 6 months for the next one to pop up on eBay, and it's anybody's guess what the condition's going to be. This one is clean enough, especially in the inner recesses of the finer details. Like the mint mark is usually gummed up with grease and dirt and crap like that. This one doesn't have any of that. This thing is undeniably one of the cleanest I've seen in quite a while. Wow, what a bargain. Here's also another favorite variety. I've actually probably found about 25 of these. That's how common they are, but we are talking about 20 plus years of hunting. 1955D FS 101 doubled die Avers. This one has a really strong doubling in the date. You can see it there on the 1 and 9 on the date. But also keep in mind that you have the doubled eyelid on Lincoln's face. I'll also put that picture up there on the bottom right. So this one right here, $11.68 was the final sale price on this one. And again, pretty cool. This one in mid-state full red is a sight to behold, because it's, believe it or not, one of the strongest Denver double-to-dies that you will ever come across in the series. And in case you guys have forgotten, there are the Wisconsin high and low leaf varieties. All right, still can't believe that this is still a thing, but they are quite popular. Of course, for those of you that are in the central southern region of the United States, like Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas region, these coins were distributed back in 2004 in that area, and people are still finding them today. This one right here, guys, is the high leaf variety. It has that high extra line right there, okay, which is not supposed to be on the regular set of working dies. So that one was probably added at some point to enhance the design. So yeah, the high leaf is a little bit more desirable and a little bit more valuable than the low leaf. The low leaf is no slouch either. So this one right here, even in this condition, which looks like it has circulated every bit of the last 20 years old, this thing is. This one sold for $153. Like it's the last coin on the face of the earth with a high leaf, so very strong sale for that one. And let's not forget that this bad boy is sitting and a bunch of paper money out there at the banks, in people's pockets. These are relatively new errors. This one right here, if you look at both sets of serial numbers, okay, you're going to notice that the bottom left serial numbers looks black, all right, while the other one looks very, very green like it's supposed to. They call this a inkwell contamination error, all right, and this is something you find on 2013 and 2017 $1 bills. So the black ink from the inkwells that are right next to the green inkwells, because it produces the black district seal and the serial number all in one shot. The black ink ran into, that green inkwell and had done a number. All right, so now we have these incredibly insane errors. Not if it wasn't for the condition of the snow, this thing would have sold for a ton of money, because it's like the blackest black that I've seen on a serial number on these. $155.54. Keep that in mind. If you're not a paper money hunter, always know that this one exists out there. And 1918 Buffalo Nickel, that's actually a nice shape, probably a VF20 grade. This is a 2-feather variety, so that third feather that is normally right here was over-polished and it disappeared. So there are a few dates that this exists. It's a Cherry Picker's Guide variety as well, and it's sold for $45. And of course, we got to throw in a little bit of a update on the Extra V Lincolns. Okay, still pushing, still performing like a beast. These things are gradable by Annex, NGC, and PCGS, and that's why people are buying them, is so they can send them there. This is actually a pristine-looking coin. This one probably grades 65 or 66 very easily. There's that little V notch you're going to look for just to the right of Victor David Brenner's initials on the base of Lincoln's bust right there. And this one sold for $60.55. The strong sale prices on these things continue. Here's a 1848, what do they call this? Braided hair, coronet, or probably not coronet style. It's a braided hair style large cent. This one has a cud on the rim on the reverse of the coin right there around K7 to K8. The coin itself does exhibit a little bit of porosity to it, so it probably might have been, a dug coin at one point. When we look closer, that's what your cud die break looks like. Now, this particular cud is attributed on cudsoncoins.com, but it's also probably a die marker for a really nice Newcomb variety. So something to keep in mind. This particular cud has a few uses for the attribution of the coin. $87.55 for this one. That's a pretty strong price, considering that one that still looks in this condition without the cud probably is a $25 coin. And here's our other Franklin $half clip. This one has a straight clip this time, but it also comes with a second coin, a 1974 Kennedy with a curved clip. I'm going to tell you guys that this is quite the huge bargain here, as it ended up selling for only $19.50. This will represent a pretty good pairing of coins that can be flipped for a heck of a lot more money, because clips on larger denomination coins are worth quite a bit more. And we did see how much that other Franklin $half clip sell for early in the show at $90. So that one, you could probably make the argument that that's probably a $90 coin as well. A few more coins. Man, this thing is obnoxiously large. Did we forget in 2022 the American Women Quarters was a thing? People are kind of like casting this off and getting ready for the big 200-year release or whatever, or 250-year release or whatever it is. This thing has a huge die chip. All right. Yeah, our good old boy Washington here has a pretty serious case of herpes simplex 1 or whatever. This is one of the largest die chips I've ever seen on this coin. $24.99, with 9 total bids on this thing. I'm surprised it didn't sell for more, but I think people are also desensitized by the fact that these herpes dye chips kind of grow on trees, but one of this size is simply just not seen. And the final coin, where we're going to end things off on some wild wackiness, we have a Lincoln Memorial cent, an early copper piece, probably from the 60s. Broad struck with 2 big clips, like it was struck on a fragment and less on an actual coin, I guess. So this one, $63.99. You'll note that this one also has some scrapes on the reverse, some post-mint damage there for you. So, well, that's it, guys. Pretty action-packed Super Bowl weekend type of pocket change market report. Thank you guys for coming on by before the big game. The video is for entertainment purposes only, not financial advice. Please do collect and grade responsibly. And, of course, that's going to go ahead and wrap things up. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I shall see you guys soon. Have a great Sunday, and I'll see you on the next coin video. Best of luck in your hunts, guys.